Y'all want to see Tyler Perry tackle injustices towards unarmed black men? Well, this ain't it because, baby, Tyler Perry will only disappoint you. The movie begins with four friends, Fela, Marley, Tony, and Kevin, participating in white people exercises. After class, they chat while walking to their cars. Kevin tries to hit Fela up, but she's not having it. When he leaves, Fela is called out by Marley and Tony, but she insists she just doesn't like Kevin ever since his days on Sister Sister. Marley defends Kevin, reassuring Fela that he was only giving her a compliment. Fela dismisses this by saying she wishes her husband Rodney would think she looked good instead. Marley asks if there's something wrong between them. Marley insists they should all talk about it over breakfast. Later at Mama M's, Marley goes to hug Rodney. Marley asks if something is wrong between Rodney and Fela because their relationship seems rockier than Rodney's pores. No one wants to talk, so they decide to just order. At the police station, Kevin is conducting a crime briefing. He highlights the alarming number of murders in specific areas. The meeting adjourns, and as the officers leave, Kevin asks one of the rookies, Caleb, to stay and assigns him as his field training officer for the day. At the newsroom, Fela takes her spot as the news anchor. Sam briefs her on the segments scheduled for her, and Shannon, her co-anchor, walks in as they go live. Meanwhile, Rodney is out on a run with his hoodie and headphones on. At the house next door, the phone rings, and Ms. Dolores answers. The anonymous caller claims to be her neighbor and says she has seen a black man in a hoodie behind her house. She looks out the window, sees Rodney, and calls 911. The 911 dispatcher alerts responders, and Kevin, out in the field with rookie Caleb, responds. Caleb complains that they're in an area with the least amount of crime. Just as he's saying this, they hear the radio dispatch and head to the scene. When they arrive, Miss Dolores directs them to the house where Rodney was seen. Caleb advances just as Rodney steps out. Caleb tells him to freeze and put his hands up, but Rodney doesn't hear him because of the headphones. When Rodney sees the gun pointed at him, he freezes and pulls his hand from his pocket. Kevin yells, "Gun!" and Caleb shoots him down. But it wasn't a gun. It was his phone. Back at the news station, Fela reads live reports of the shooting. As she reads the details from the teleprompter, she learns that Rodney is the victim, and her entire world crumbles. Later at the hospital, Marley and Tony arrive to find Fela sobbing. Tony confronts Kevin, who explains he was training Caleb. When Fela hears this, she charges toward Kevin. The doctor then approaches with bad news, and Fela breaks down. Back at home, Fela gets some rest while the others are downstairs planning their next steps. The news team will handle the reports, Marley will manage the legalities, and Tony will investigate for leads. When Sam and Shannon leave, Tony and Marley debrief on the details of the incident. Marley views it as a racial crime and is determined to get to the bottom of it. AI writes better scripts than Tyler Perry, but at least the wigs are decent in this one. At the funeral, just as people are leaving, Fela spots the crew from another news channel and rushes over to confront them. She's furious at their caucasity for showing up there and has an emotional meltdown. To make matters worse, Kevin shows up at Fela's home, attempting to apologize. Tony sees him and tells him to leave. Fela, seeing Kevin, has another meltdown, telling the Oreo cop to go home. Tony walks Kevin out, and as they talk, Kevin expresses concern about the stain this incident might leave on his department. Kevin, what about the dead man that will never have his life back? Tony gets heated, but Kevin calms him down by sharing some rumors about Caleb's past before leaving. Fela confides in Marley about her financial worries now that Rodney is gone. Marley reassures her, promising that once they win the case, Fela will have more money than she'll ever need. Later, Marley returns home and tells Tony that Fela wants her to go back to staying at her own house and that her financial struggles are troubling her. Tony agrees to lend Fela some money, which pleases Marley. She prepares to meet with the city attorney. Outside, violent protesters are causing chaos in the streets as Marley drives through the city. When Marley meets the city attorney, Ina Hensley, she begins to offer a formal apology on behalf of the mayor's office. Marley cuts her off, telling her to skip the formalities and get straight to business. Marley tries to push for a settlement, but Ina is relentless in defending their side. Marley presses for the release of the body cam footage. Ina says it will be released in the coming days, but to her it looked like Rodney's phone really resembles a gun. She shows Marley the footage, and the sight devastates her. Ina explains the politics of the case and makes it clear that if they sue, they will defend it vigorously. Ina like an Uncle Ruckus, she a hoe. Afterward, Marley breaks down in her car. Tony calls and comes to her aid. When he arrives, she asks him if he thinks the shooting was justified. Tony says that, from his perspective, it did look like a gun, and that officers are trained to shoot to kill in such instances. Marley realizes she will have a difficult time defending Rodney's case and doubts she'll be able to help Fela secure a settlement. Back at the news station, Shannon delivers the latest headlines about massive, violent protests erupting around the city. The mayor faces increasing pressure from business owners to put an end to the violence. At home, Marley wakes up late in a panic. Tony tells her to relax, reassuring her that he's already taken care of everything. Marley insists she needs to fight this on her own, not be coddled. She holds a press conference to pressure the authorities into releasing all evidence to the public. Marley visits Miss Dolores to investigate further. Ms. Dolores says she don't want any trouble as soon as she sees a black woman. Ms. Dolores reveals that she received a call from the Beaumonts, urging her to report Rodney to the police. Marley tries to ask more questions, but Ms. Dolores refuses to answer. She reiterates she's not a racist. At the office, Marley arrives to find Shannon and Sam waiting for her. They reveal that they received an anonymous tip claiming that Rodney was having an affair with a 25-year-old woman named Anna Lewis, who lives near the alleyway where he was shot. They also provide her with photos from doorbell cameras in the area. Marley recognizes Tony in one of the photos and goes to his office to confront him about it. Tony explains that he was hired by Anna's husband to keep an eye on her, and in doing so, he caught Rodney. He confronted him about it, and Rodney promised to end it. Hearing all of this only makes Marley doubt Tony more. Marley then visits Mrs. Beaumont and asks about the call she made, but Mrs. Beaumont denies calling Miss Dolores on the incident. Marley presses further, but Mrs. Beaumont becomes agitated, and Marley leaves. She heads to Fela's place, and when she arrives, she finds Fela in the backyard, burning Rodney's old photographs. Marley accidentally reveals to Fela that Rodney was having an affair. Marley tries to console her, but Fela insists she be left alone. When Marley returns home, Caleb unexpectedly walks into the garage and startles her. He apologizes and explains that he's not racist because he got a black friend. Marley gets angry and tells him to leave. When he doesn't, she calls Tony, who threatens Caleb with a gun, prompting him to leave. Tony then calls Kevin to complain, and Kevin promises to take care of it. Kevin later finds Caleb crying at Rodney's grave. Caleb fears the DA will prosecute him, but Kevin reassures him that the union has his back. He tells Caleb to let the situation blow over and advises him not to see Fela or Marley again. The production and acting is giving 99-cent store. Amazon Prime needs to offer refunds. Marley visits Fela, and when she arrives, the security alarm is ringing. She rushes to the back and sees a man in a hoodie trying to escape. She runs inside to check on Fela and calls 911. Fela is passed out on the couch, unaware of everything happening. The police arrive, followed by Tony and Kevin. Seeing Kevin, Fela gets irritated and tells them all to leave. Kevin's face would piss me off too. Outside, Kevin, Tony, and Marley discuss that the intruder was likely Caleb. Kevin assures them they'll track him down. Meanwhile, Fela is inside, watching the news report about Rodney's affair. Sam meets Marley at her office and hands her records of Caleb's military history. Later, Marley has a meeting with the city attorney. Ina uses the affair as leverage to persuade Marley into a settlement, with the condition that Fela release a statement urging people to stop the riots. Marley confronts Ina about Caleb's past racial attack incident that got him kicked out of the military, as well as her lavish and corrupt lifestyle. Ina shut up real quick since she knows she's exactly like Justice Clarence Thomas. Traitor. At the station, Shannon delivers the news that the city has reached a settlement with Rodney's family, amounting to $15 million. An arrest warrant has been issued for Officer Caleb, but he is in hiding. At a press conference, Fela asks the public to stop the violence and request privacy. 4 months later, Marley is about to head out to the gym. Tony been sleeping on the couch because of all the secrets he'd been keeping, but goes to Marley all shirtless, and this gets her kitty going, and she instantly forgives him. After working out, she's greeted by Shannon and Sam, who congratulate her on Fela's case. Marley thanks them for their help and mentions planning to visit Fela, only to learn from them that Fela has already moved. Marley wasn't aware of this, but respects Fela's decision and plans to wait for her to reach out. As Marley walks to her car, a black van suddenly pulls up and kidnaps her. Why it gotta be black? Inside, she screams, but soon learns that the kidnappers, Caleb, Anna Lewis, and Caleb's wife, Jennifer, mean her no harm. They explain that they need her help. It turns out that Kevin and Anna used to date, until his possessiveness and abusive behavior caused their breakup. His stalking escalated after that. This is when Anna met Rodney at his self-defense classes. Rodney had been having issues with his wife, and the two began dating. He promised to protect her. Marley asks who Jennifer is, and she explains that she's Caleb's wife, and the fact that she's black proves Caleb isn't racist at all. Jennifer, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Jennifer hands Marley her number in case she changes her mind and decides to help them. Marley takes it and demands to be sent back to her car. The next day, Marley calls Tony to ask about Kevin's zone designation. Tony finds this unusual and asks why she's asking. Marley plays coy, telling him she'll explain later. At home, she calls Sam, telling him to get Shannon and meet her somewhere. They arrive at a sketchy motel with Marley's outfit looking just as sketchy. Marley leads them upstairs and knocks on the door. Inside, Jennifer, Caleb, and Anna welcome them. Marley starts talking about designated zones and how Kevin wasn't even assigned to that zone. Caleb confirms this, and they conclude that Kevin set him up to shoot Rodney. Shannon asks them to explain what happened with Caleb back in the army. Jennifer reveals that he was only defending her from a crazy ex and was framed and discharged for it. Anna further reveals that Kevin has always had a darker side, and she has proof. She tells them she taped a phone containing recordings hidden at the bottom of a bathroom sink. I swear, the greatest threat to creativity ain't AI. It's Tyler Perry's writing. Marley pulls up to Anna's old house and looks around. A man grabs her from behind, but it's just Tony. He asks why she's here and what's going on, but she doesn't trust him. Moments later, Kevin arrives telling them he's already purchased the house and invites them inside. Kevin can afford a mansion and a nice car and a police salary? Girl, this is sussy and your survival instincts lacking. Once inside, Marley doesn't waste any time. She asks where the bathroom is, then searches every drawer and finds the phone with the recordings. She watches the videos on full volume. Tony knocks on the door and asks her to come out. Kevin invites them to go on a boat ride, but Marley refuses. As she tries to leave, she realizes the front door has been locked. She is now trapped by Tony and Kevin. Desperate to escape, she tries to run, but they capture her and sedate her. They take her out onto the boat, undocking it. Suddenly, Fela appears. She has been scheming with them all along. Marley wakes up, and Fela admits to everything she's been involved in. She spits vile things about Rodney and how he deserved it. As they prepare to weigh her down and sink her to the bottom of the lake, a lake patrol officer approaches. He checks their papers and notices Marley's weight band, realizing what they're about to do. As soon as he understands, Kevin pulls out his gun and shoots the patrol officer, then sinks his boat. They drop Marley into the water, and as she sinks, she manages to break free and swim to the overturned patrol boat. The three perpetrators are too distracted handling the patrol officer's body to notice Marley coming up to the boat. I thought black people can't swim. Using a flare gun, she shoots them one by one. They ass as grass. Her boyfriend even tries to plead, but she shoots him. Afterwards, she fires another flare into the sky to signal for help. The next day at the news station, Marley and Caleb are interviewed by Shannon. Marley speaks about the injustice of the situation and the racial and political dynamics between the police and black people. She urges people to be discerning and to objectively judge what is wrong versus right, regardless of their beliefs. Girl, Tyler Perry really wrong for this one, using racial injustice and putting a twist to it. What did you guys think of it?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.